All right, so I do a search for that Biden Zoom call, and it's so funny how everything in Google is debunking it. Oh, it's out of context. They're creating this false narrative that the perceived problem with it that is being debunked is that we're thinking that he's blaming African Americans for the country being doomed, which is not the case whatsoever. Biden did not say the country is doomed because of African Americans. So they add the context. If we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It's doomed not just because of the African Americans. That's not what is creepy as fuck about this Zoom call. And so since they're all calling for context, here's the full quote. Equity. Equity. Justice according to natural law or right. Freedom from bias or favoritism. Equality is the quality or state of being equal. Equity is justice according to natural law or right. So what's their definition of equity? Equity over equality. Most of us were taught by parents in classrooms that we Americans are blessed with equal treatment under our nation's rule of law. Equality among individuals and groups, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, or place of national origin. Those honorable and traditional American thoughts and principles are today considered by those on the left as old school. Equity theory on the relations and perceptions of fairness and distributions of resources within social and professional situations. That sounds like communism. Equity is measured by comparing the ratio of contributions or costs and benefits or rewards for each person, considered one of the justice theories. Equity theory was first developed in the 1960s by Stacey Adams, a workplace and behavioral psychologist, who asserted that employees seek to maintain equity between the inputs that they bring to a job and the outcomes that they receive from it against the perceived inputs and outcomes of others. Equity here, so how are we using this? Why couldn't they say equality? No, they say maintain equity. According to equity theory, in order to maximize individuals' rewards, we tend to create systems where resources can be fairly divided amongst members of a group. Communism. Here we go. Here's a real word. Inequalities in relationships that cause those within it to be unhappy to a degree proportional to the amount of inequality. See, this is how they get it. They get it by creating word salad sentences that don't make any sense and then bring in the truth, which is communism. I think that's how capitalism works, right? If you suck at the job, then you're going to tend to be unhappy to the degree proportional to the amount of inequality. So the belief is that people value fair treatment, which causes them to be motivated to keep the fairness maintained within the relationships of their coworkers and the organization. The structure of equity in the workplace is based on the ratio of inputs to outcomes. That was gay. Like equity, equality aims to promote fairness and justice, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place and needs the same things. The amount of time that people waste trying to think of, you got to justify your job at some point, right? Systemic equity. It's complex. It is a dynamic process that reinforces and replicates equitable ideas, power, resources, strategies, conditions, habits, and outcomes. Yeah.
The only thing I'm not doing is I'm not engaging in retribution. I am not deciding that the way to win is to go after hate with hate. We have to convince people. We have to move them. And one of the overwhelming reasons I won, by the way,
What are the overwhelming reasons I won, by the way?
is because we took on racism in suburbia. White women.
You know, the stupid ones. You know? They're stuck in their social media bubbles. They don't know what the fuck's actually happening.
Overwhelmingly voted with me. And
Believe me, I know. I live in the East Bay.
Black women were the two places where it was overwhelming. Because we spoke to those concerns. And Vanita, you know what I'm talking about. You and I have talked before. But I have more of a record of getting things done in the United
I have a more of a record of getting
things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know.
as great in the United States Congress as anyone else.
But my overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed.
What is he saying there? If we can't get progress on racial equity, meaning, I think he's talking about critical race theory. It's the only thing that I see. The darker you are, the more advantage you get, so that you can catch up with the whites, right? So if you're super dark, black, like night black, then we're gonna give you this much head start with money and food and security and jobs, and if you're this much dark, then we're gonna give you this much money and food. If you're this much dark, we're gonna give you this much. If you're white, we're not gonna do shit for you. Is that what he's saying? Hey, explain to me what equity is. That seems like that's what they're talking about when they say equity. What the hell fucking else are they saying? How do you practice that? How do you put that into place from the executive office? You're gonna have people start like scanning their skin to see what tone of black it is? Guys, this is the context.
It is doomed, not just because of African Americans.
And I don't know what that sentence means at all. If we don't take care of racial equity, it is doomed, not just because of African Americans? Is that not the most racist thing you've ever heard? Hey, unless we figure out how to make this country understand that the darker you are, the less privilege you get, and the more that the government needs to give you privilege, then it's doomed. Unless we give you more privileges based on how dark you are, then the country is doomed. Not just because of African Americans. What?
Because...
Hey, fact checkers. Check that.
By 2040.
This is the only reason I wanted to play this video. And now I'm fucking all riled up because that was fucking horse. You guys invited more evidence to be exposed about how fucking racist it really is. It isn't about the African Americans, but holy shit, yes it is. It's not about that. What it really is about is what he's about to say.
This country is going to be minority white.
Why do you think that? I wonder why he thinks that. Is it because for some reason there's a plan to convince white Americans or American Americans, any race, to stop procreating and to identify with other genders and not make more of themselves and invite other races into the country? Is that why? Is there not a plan to completely turn every American person against their own race or against their own sex, against their own parent, against their own value system, and in turn make a new generation that is basically majority non-English speaking people, people who have no understanding of the history of America? I'm trying to be PC. I think I'm being PC, aren't I?
European. You hear me? Minority white European.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear, Joe.
And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
Who's you guys? Oh, you people? Is that what you mean?
Who make up a larger portion of the
I wonder why he mentioned Hispanics.
population. Y'all do.
Y'all, because he's still got the vernacular. He's a homeboy. He knew corn pop, you know? Yo, he's down. Joe is down, yo. Kamala Harris is super down with the people, yo. She done listened to Tupac, you know? She done down with the Tupac, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
in terms of raw numbers. We're going to have to be working with a whole group of people that, in fact, are the single
What group of people?
most diverse democracy in American history.
It's not a democracy. By diverse, you mean the Browns is people who can come in without IDs or knowing the English language and enable the new communist, Marxist American Party to keep power.
And anywhere in the world. And we got to figure out how to unify this country. And you've been the leaders of being able to
Unify this country. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about?
do that. Not a joke.
You've been the people who are able to do that, Reverend Al. Reverend Al is super unifying. Reverend Al loves all people. I'm gonna intersperse videos of Reverend Al.
I would love to use love, but if I've got to use hate, I'll deal with what my hand calls for.
Folks was in the cave when we had built empires. We learned to admire them, but they knew to admire us. We built pyramids before Donald Trump ever knew what architecture was. We taught philosophy and astrology and mathematics before Socrates and them Greek ever got around.
On this program, your program, you heard me, you have me on tape defending this man. Recently, even after the shenanigans with him and the other soldiers.
That's a lot of crap.
No, look, brother, you had your chance.
That's a lot of crap.
Brother,
And I got
brother,
it.
no,
And I got
hell
it.
no.
I got it.
Oh, hell no.
I got it.
The Reverend now has his own TV show on MSNBC. He has his own talk radio show, a best-selling book, and is a regular at the White House. He hangs out with Obama's aides and cabinet members, members of Congress, business executives, military leaders, and the president himself. In fact, Sharpton had a choice seat for the president's inauguration. He attended Michelle Obama's 50th birthday party and even watched the Super Bowl with the Obama family. The president has sought the man's counsel and has embraced him publicly.
And so there's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it.
No, there's a lot of things that you were able to do by executive order, and you were not hesitant to do it. There's a stack of 50 fucking orders, and you didn't know what a lot of them said. You admitted as much on tape.
But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what used to, Vanita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority.
I think we're done with this shit.
I am not going to violate the Constitution.
Yeah, we're done with this shit. So if you've gained control of this country in whatever ways that you were able to, congrats. And you have distorted this border and you've squeezed people into the states. You've even flown them specifically to red states such as Alabama, Kentucky, Texas, wherever. And so you've just opened up the border right there, right? Why would you send your vice president, border czar, Guatemala? Why do you suppose that would happen? Well, let's take a look. The real reason Kamala was in Guatemala. On the second Air Force Two, Kamala finally landed in Guatemala to jeers from an angry mob. So we're looking at a rare state in this area where the people are not on board with communism. They understand fully how awful communism is, and they support Trump, and they support Republican values. So why would we send, so we have the problem's here, right? Up here. That's the problem to us. But to them, it's like, hell yeah, let's bring more people over here and we'll ship them over to wherever they want to go because you know what? They're the right kind of people, you know? They're the right browns. What kind of browns do we want importing into our country? We want the right kind of browns. We want the kind of browns who are like, oh, hey, you're giving me free shit? Hell yeah. Well, now you have voters for the next 3 decades. Oh, you're going to continue to give us free shit? Why would she go to Guatemala? She hasn't even bothered to visit the border right? She goes to Guatemala first. And it's because Guatemala happens to be unique in the fact that it has a Republican population. They're very weary of communism there, right? The president of Guatemala says to CBS, "We are not on the same side of the coin. It is obvious." After President Trump left, the president of Guatemala complained that the message changed from "we are going to reunite families and we are going to reunite children," and the very next day, the coyotes here were organizing groups of children to take them to the United States. Now, you know why? There's a reason that Kamala was like,
"Do not come.
did you ever wonder why?
Do not come."
Did you ever wonder why that she said that? Because she's speaking to the Guatemalan people who are very well aware of what's going on. The adults, right? The adults she doesn't want to have anything to do with. Hey, stay here. Do not come to the Americans because we want more people who are going to vote for communism. And that's not people who are aware of how dark communism is, which is the majority of people in Guatemala. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you once again. So, the effort to grab the children, coyotes go there and they take their children, because then the children can be either bought and sold into trafficking, or they can be indoctrinated in the Kamala school system. They won't have the experience that their parents had, and they won't have their parents to inform them. They're just kids. Cuba. The people are standing their ground. They're saying, you know what? We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight. Because we know what freedom is. And that's why we carry American flags when we protest a communist dictatorship government. That's Cuba. So we already saw Kamala Harris talking to Guatemalans, telling them not to come, don't come, because they know what happens under communism. So if they migrate up to America, the land of the free, they're not going to vote for free shit. They're going to vote for freedom. Same with Cuba. They want to come here. You know why? This is extremely free land. This is not good. So what does the White House do? The United States stands with the brave Cubans who have taken to the streets to oppose repression under a communist regime. President Biden, I'm sure he said that. I'm sure he thought of that. Yeah. The truth is, so Biden's DHS chief warned Cuban and Haitian migrants not to enter the U.S. If you take to the sea, you will not come. Don't come. Don't come. Department of Homeland Security Secretary has told would-be Cuban and Haitian migrants not to try to come to the U.S. illegally by boat, calling it a risk not worth taking. Oh, this risk, it's perfectly fine. Go ahead. We welcome you. You know how much we welcome you? This is how much we welcome you.
Many arrived in their home country in the United States before they could walk or talk. Many.
Yeah, you love that, right? You love it. You love illegal kids coming into the U.S. because they could either be trafficked or propagandized to vote for you forever while you give them free shit. You treat them better than you treat American citizens. Fact.
Have been living recently, for these years, a life of uncertainty, even though this is the only...
She's talking about, like, babies. They've been uncertain. They're not certain about what's happening. Let's take kids, 8-year-olds. They've been living a life of uncertainty. It's all hogwash. It's all fake. Word salad.
They deserve a pathway to citizenship.
So, are you saying that their home country is a piece of garbage, piece of shit? Is that what you're saying? You're saying they deserve, now that coyotes threw them over fences And they've spent their early developmental years in cages and being passed around to different people who don't speak their language, that they're better off here than with their families in Mexico, because Mexico's hell, I guess.
And so I want to make clear to the dreamers who are here and those who are watching.
Dreamers. How much propaganda is built into that word? Dreamers. Yeah, this 4-year-old is a dreamer. They were snatched by coyotes, again, thrown to the wolves, and we're told, hey, go walk in that direction until an American picks you up and takes care of you. You know? You're a dreamer.
From home. This is your home. This is your home.
If you're gonna vote for me, this is your home. If you're not gonna vote for me, fuck you! Not being hyperbolic.
And we see you, and you are not alone. Many.
No. Yeah, they're not alone. No. What about these kids in Cuba? What about these kids? No? They're the wrong kind of brown, aren't they? They're the kind of brown that has the wherewithal to know that communism is shit. Is that the case? What about Haiti? Is this Haiti? I don't know. Yeah, Haiti. No, none of them. No. Don't come. Please don't come. What about Guatemalans? Please don't come. Please don't come. What about Canadians? Bipartisan anger as Biden administration keeps border with Canada closed. Is it about the COVID? Is it about COVID? An open border with our neighbors to the north means families will be reunited once again, and much needed relief for our border communities that depend on cross-border trade and supply chains. Let's not open it. No, that's dangerous. You know, all those white peoples. It's pathetic. What is happening? These people who live in a semi-free country, which is being co-opted by us to turn them into a communist dictatorship, those people are not welcome in America. All these people, hell yeah, we love it. Yes, please come. We'll give you free housing. We'll give you checks as soon as you cross the border. We're going to pay you $1,600 a week. And, we're going to bankrupt this country at the expense of making these people just spill into this country. Yeah. Oh, and these people, wrong kind of brown, my friends, wrong kind of brown, because they aren't gonna vote, like we want them to. Is it not obvious to you? I mean, it's pathetic. Good night, my friends. Love you. Have a good one.